Hi folks, and welcome back to another Travels of Red Rover. I'm Sean.
And I'm Corrine.
And what are we doing now?
We are redeeming ourselves.
Yes, we are.
We came out and did Rimrocker from Colorado to Utah about a month ago, but it got so rainy we had to get off the trail. So we're going to go and do the portion that we missed. We're going to start in Moab, and we're going to head as far as maybe the Colorado border, but at least till LaSalle, which is where we came off the trail.
Yeah, and hopefully it goes a whole lot better than it did the last time when we got rained off the trail.
We have a nice, bright, sunny day with no rain in the forecast for the next few days, so it should be a good trip.
Let's get started. So here we go on to the Rimrocker Trail. We're all aired down. And hopefully this goes well.
No reason it shouldn't.
Green says there's no reason it shouldn't. Excuse me. That's what I'm thinking too. No reason it shouldn't. So finding it is actually a bit of a challenge. Yep, I see the little post there. Well, the first part coming out of Moab on this trail is pretty stony. So Green was just saying this real stony part throws you right into it, so that you get an opportunity to try out the bumps and dumps right away. This isn't so bad. These rocks are actually pretty rounded, so it's not like driving over some of the really sharp rocks that some of the trails we've been on are sort of famous for. So this isn't too bad. It's just more, you got to take it slow and you're kind of going to bump along. Not going to go very fast over this, that's for sure. And you're going to have some sections that are pretty off camber, which you just kind of get you used to it right away. Well, we got our first water crossing and obstacle all at once. We got to get skinny, and this is straightforward water crossing, just a little creek. Hardly worth the trouble. So for the first little while, the trail follows or parallels 191, the highway. I wouldn't be surprised if there aren't some cross trails that you couldn't pick this up a little further down 191. That wouldn't surprise me very much at all. So the trail is pretty well marked with RR signs. The folks that maintain this trail from the Rimrocker group do a great job at actually signing this. Unfortunately, some folks have decided to make trails elsewhere in this particular area. There's a lot of intersecting trails, so it gets a little hard to follow at times. So we're having to be a little bit careful about where we drive. Oops, I think it goes that way.
Up to that sign.
Up to that sign, okay. As you can tell, Corrine and I are trying to decipher the trail.
I'll go right.
Okay, and it takes us to the right, we think. At least that's what the trail appears to do.
Yep.
Unless we want to sit down.
Shooting range.
Oh yeah, little makeshift shooting range here.
The intersecting trails tend to be more aggressive and more suited to the BMX bikes and motocross bikes.
Yeah. So this is another one of the typical Moab southern Utah clay sands roads, dirt roads, and it turns into a skating rink if it gets wet. We've actually had to cross quite a few little problem spots as we've come along here.
Dips.
And dips in that's been carved in by the water. we're coming down. There's, I think, another road that goes down to 191 from right here, which is where the electrical power lines come in. And if I was going to redo this trail myself, I might just drive down 191 to here and start here. To be perfectly honest. And we're coming back up
Strike Ravine Road.
Yeah, here's the road goes out to the highway. This is the road we would come in if I was doing this again. And just as you get off the highway here and come up a little bit, there is a pit toilet. So if you need to take a quick break, this is the place to do it. We just drove through a little camp spot here. And
we're not on the road.
We're not on the road anymore. Looks like it goes that way.
But it can't. It's the hill right there.
Well, we're having a hard time finding the trail here. We've wandered into the camping area and somehow missed the trail. So we're going to go back and see if we can find it. Maybe before we entered the camping area, there was a right-hand turn or something.
Up there.
Yep, I think you're right.
Got a ledge to go up.
This looks like it was paved at one time. Green describes it. We got an exciting bit. And then she says, it's not too bad. It's all about straddling the... This was probably a paved road at one time. Looks like they came down with some kind of machine to tear it up. Definitely couldn't bring the van through here. The next section of road has some very narrow and some steep and deep obstacles on it. We made it through okay with the Jeep, but you might find if you're in a full-size vehicle that you might find it a little bit skinny in a couple places. Well, this road has definitely proved to have a few challenges right from the beginning. It is torn up from the rain really bad. But it's still doable, still passable. I have put it into four-wheel drive. I'm not sure I absolutely need it. Well, I probably did going up a couple of the little washes that are very steep. You probably don't want to come down here with too long a vehicle. That's for sure. Because you get high-centered in a couple of the washes.
Low center.
Or low center, yeah. Basically, what would be happened is the front bumper and the back bumper would be on the ground and your wheels would be hanging down. And we'd come right back to Highway 91 again, or 191. I don't know if there's a connection here. I suspect there is. And I might actually come all the way down to here to start this trail.
But you know the trailhead for behind the rocks.
And Krenza said that it's the trailhead for behind the rocks.
No camping next 33 miles.
It's 3.3 miles.
Oh, 3.3 miles, okay. Yeah, because I saw on Onyx there was dispersed camping on the road.
So we are on a nicely graded gravel road after we came back off of the part that just hit 191. Behind the Rocks trailhead, and it is a lovely little gravel road. Thin, tiny, but well graded and well compacted. Starting to get really pretty back in here. The mountains, LaSalle Mountains off to the right there. And another trailhead. The next section, we're still on a pretty good road. It's gotten a little bit washboardy, which is typical when you start going uphill. And we are going up rather steeply into the mountain area here. I suspect we'll end up going over a pass at some point. And we're still driving through private land. Lots of, few lots for sale along the way here. We're now heading up a series of switchbacks. And again, we're heading up really, really steep. It gets a little narrow in the corners here. So just be watching for traffic coming the other way because you won't see them until they're right on top of you. Well, we've worked our way out of the canyon and we're now up on top of a mesa. Road is still beautiful. It's a well-maintained gravel road. It's a little narrow in places again, but otherwise it's in beautiful shape. Okay, we're coming to an intersection and there's camping to the right, which looks like it goes out to the end of the mesa, which could be beautiful, but we go to the left. Again, we've reached a spot where it's absolutely beautiful. See the mountain off in the distance there? Really, really pretty. So the gravel road has turned into a much smaller mud road, hard-packed mud road. And it's gotten a lot more narrow and a bit more aggressive on the up. There are a few small washouts along the way here. Okay, we're starting to head down off the mesa. A little bit stony, very narrow, and I think we're heading into a whole series of fairly narrow, sharp switchbacks.
Stop filming for a minute because you're very narrow and it's a steep drop off.
So we're driving along a narrow shelf road. So we're starting to head back up again, and we are on another shelf road, heading up. Just based on the mud and that we're on, I am very glad that we talked ourselves out of coming along this trail in the rain. It would have been absolutely dangerous to try to come along here with the muddy, slick clay soils that we've been driving up, and some of the steepness of these trails. It could have been very easy to lose control. We're working our way up through a series of hairpins. After you get up the little switchbacks there, you break out into a pretty wide open mesa. One of the thoughts I was having coming up that last shelf trail was you wouldn't want to bring too wide a vehicle up here. It would be really dicey in a few spots, and I noticed I went through a couple areas there where even I have to maneuver a little bit getting the Jeep through it to make sure I don't hit my mirrors. So something to consider. Most of the trail would be fine, but there are a few really tight spots along the way. So we've been driving up and down a mesa and then down into some canyons and then back up again. Green's been driving, and I've been flying the drone over BLM stroke forestry land. And Green did a great job driving. She's got the double problem because right now my drone is not working correctly, so I can't use any of the automatic modes. So I have to fly it actively the entire time I'm using it, and which means if I'm bouncing around too much, it gets really hard to fly. And Green did a great job of keeping the truck pretty steady as I was going, and she's got the speed perfected. The drone really can only go about 15, 18 miles per hour, and so consequently, to match the speed of the vehicle, she's got to maintain a fairly even speed. Otherwise, I'm catching up and flying over, or I'm having to adjust speed so much that it doesn't come out as nice, even drone video. So, anyway, really good job. Thank you, Green. Well, since we entered the forestry land, the trail has become a good deal rougher. It's much slower going. Green tells me that we're about 8 to 10 miles away from where we left the trail in late August or September. And well, I've finally kind of put the two ends back together again. This trail's gotten quite rough. We're driving essentially on rocks. And there are a fair number of medium-sized little boulders on the middle of the trail that you got to watch for, especially if you're not too lifted. With the 37-inch tires and the 3-inch lift, we're not having really too much trouble. Oh, pretty little rocks right there.
Someone painted rocks.
You want to get out and take a picture?
No.
Well, the trails continue to be quite bumpy, with lots of little rocks along the way. Not really a problem for driving. It's also getting a little skinny, so I'm going to end up with some pinstriping almost certainly along the way here.
Nice pine trees now, right?
Yeah, Green's right. We're in pine trees and junipers right now. It's really pretty up here. They're very, very green. So it's really quite lovely. We haven't seen any other traffic up here for quite some time, which means we have the place pretty much to ourselves. So one of the things I've done while we're driving in four-wheel drive here, and quite slowly, is disconnect the sway bar. Gives us a bit more motion on the front. Absorb the up and down a little better. Makes the ride a little nicer. Although we're bouncing around quite a bit, so it's a little hard to down. Even a little more than we were doing when we were just driving up a rocky road. Now we're actually having to put our tires on some of the rocks in order to avoid banging into things underneath us. I'm sure it doesn't look nearly as interesting on the video as it is while we're driving. We're coming to another intersection. We go to the right, I think.
Yes.
Well, we got kind of out of the rocky rocks for a few minutes. We're on just simply a bumpy old forestry road right now. Well, we're starting to work our way down off the mesa. Another one of those skinny roads. It has a steep drop off on the passenger side. Green always likes those. I don't know how well this is showing up in the camera, but somebody's gotten through here and gotten stuck and half destroyed in the mud and half destroyed the trail. That's why you really shouldn't come out here when it's wet and rainy and muddy.
Oh, puddle.
Yep. It's still wet up here in places. That wasn't too bad. Little tiny puddle left.
Oh, a bigger puddle.
A much bigger puddle.
You can straddle. Go to the right.
We've got a very rocky uphill section here. I guess the rain a few weeks ago even washed out more than it was already washed out. So we're finding lots of big puddles back here.
Another one.
This is another big puddle. So we're on another little tiny shelf road, a rocky shelf road as we work our way up. It's been a pretty cool road so far. I mean, this has been fun to drive. So got a few little challenges on it, but not so much as that you would want to break a sweat. The views are spectacular along here, especially out onto the passenger side. Well, we've come to the first turn where I'm going to have to actually back up in order to make it. The trail's gotten a good deal skinnier. Quite a few pine and some scrub oak, which I've renamed scratch oak, because it likes to reach out and scratch you. The pine just kind of wipes off a little bit of the dust, but the scratch oaks, they definitely leave their mark, especially at this time of year when they have new leaves on them. Well, we're now going through a really substantial section of scratch oak, formerly known as scrub oak. The trail seems to be breaking out of the forest a little bit. We must be getting high enough. We've definitely been working our way up for the last about an hour. It's been slow going across this very rocky road. Every once in a while they throw in a mud pit just to keep things interesting. We've come to a intersection which we go to the left. And we're heading towards a place called Locky Basin. Well, this is probably the most interesting of the shelf roads we've run into so far. This is a shelf road that's very off camber to the passenger side, which is all down. Makes it a little bit more exciting. Of course, we're a little top heavy with the campers, so we feel it a little bit more than we would be if we didn't have the Parker camper up there. We're still pretty stable though, which is quite nice. We're at about 8,300 feet, just a little above that. again, just absolutely gorgeous views on the way up. These were a long way away, and we were at the bottom of them at one point. Now we're getting very close to the top. We're actually running along a ridge right now. There's a fence on the passenger side and basically a cliff on the driver's side. So the road is literally right on the ridge. And it is still going up. It is a rocky, rocky road on the way up here. We have found a gate, which we weren't expecting. So it looks like it opens on the left-hand side, Crane. I think I'll go help her. It turns out going back for gloves was a really good idea. The top rung of wire was a piece of barbed wire, and trying to get my hands around it so that I didn't get caught with the barbed wire was nice to have gloves on for that reason. And then figuring out which way the gate pulls open. Green's going to come and drive the car through. But we had to figure out, I thought it was going to go that way. Nah, it's got to come this way. So I'm hauling the gate out of the way so Kareem can get through. So when Kareen got through the gate, I closed the gate behind her. The policy here in the West is if you find a gate open, leave it open. If you find it closed, make sure you close it behind you. So we're going up some steps. Makes it interesting. We're still running along the fence line. We're now on the inside of it as opposed to the outside of it. That was a hard fence to get open and closed. We had to work at that. Surprised they didn't have a marker. That road going off to the right like that.
Yeah.
Well, this end of the Rimrocker is a lot more difficult and challenging than the Colorado side of the Rimrocker, which is pretty much just a gravel road.
With shelf roads.
With a few shelf roads. This one's actually had some fairly technical climbing spots, like right now. They're not difficult. I wouldn't want to describe them as being difficult, but they're definitely something you got to be paying attention to. We are still working our way up. We're getting to places where we're doing quite a bit of stepping up stones. Usually when we're pretty off camber, which is makes it kind of interesting. What does Onyx grade this road? Is it a 3, 4, 5, 3? I think it's a little harder than a 3. The road itself isn't all that hard, but there are a few spots along it. I'd say most of the road is probably a 2, but there are some spots on it where 3 is, I think, optimistic. It's probably a solid 4 in a few places.
It's just so rocky, you can't go fast.
Yeah, it's you can't be in a hurry on this road or you're going to get into trouble. Lots of shelf road too.
But you're not right on the edge and it's not washed out.
Right.
so it's not nearly as nerve-wracking.
Yeah, I'd say the Colorado roads, in terms of shelf roads, were probably more nerve-wracking than this is, because often you have trees on the downside. So if you do slide a little bit, you're probably going to get caught by the trees. And then it's not really all that technical, except you get spots like this where it is kind of stepping down a series of boulders, which isn't too
They're not
difficult.
Really tall, but you can't hit them too fast or you'd be thrown around.
Yeah. I think the part that makes them a little bit more challenging is that many of them are quite off camber, usually pointing to the cliffside of the trail. So, well, we found some cattle up here. We knew we were going to find them because we were finding cattle poo on the road. There's quite a good group of them in here. Another really pretty view. So we're up even higher than we were before. Looks like the rain really washed this section out. So it's got a big trough down the middle and a bunch of big rocks on either side. We found some deer or elk. You probably can't see them in the camera here.
Deer.
Deer, yeah. And they are getting out of the way. I would have been surprised I hadn't seen any up till now. We thought for sure we'd see some
Wild
coming up. Yeah, some wild deer or elk coming up the first part of the road. In another boulder field. Oh, yep, they're right beside us here looking at us. I don't know if this is coming through on the camera or not, but the three-quarter moon is straight off in front of us here. As we work our way through another little boulder field. Been finding quite a few cattle along the road. They more or less ignore us. I'm actually kind of surprised to see this many cattle up on the mountainside still this time of year. Beginning of November, I guess they'll come collect them or bring them down here in a little while.
Oh, there goes another deer.
Another deer. So the deer and the cows are all kind of hanging out in the same place. Oh, there goes more deer.
Two more.
More deer. Puddles. We just went across what's called Deer Spring. That's where all the cattle were. Came down to get a drink. Head back up in the mountain for the evening. Finally onto a road that's not quite so rocky for a few minutes. Probably jinxed myself by just saying that. We are coming down to La Salle Pass Road. And I think that closes our loop, right?
Not quite.
Not quite?
No, yeah,
We're getting
another three-quarters or half mile less.
another half mile left, so we're getting close. It's been a good trail, though, and I'm really, really glad we did not do this trail in the rain.
Said that already.
I know, I've said that a couple times probably, but I can't repeat that enough. don't do this trail in the rain. Even with the residual puddles from a couple weeks ago, they're still pretty deep along the trail. So we are coming down onto LaSalle Pass Road. I'm going to take my sway bar off because this looks like a much nicer road down here. Well, Corrine, we finally finished the trail. Woohoo!
Redemption.
Redemption, yeah. And I am, as I said, probably a dozen times on this video, really glad we didn't do it in the rain. It was a beautiful day to do this trail. It is mildly challenging. I think any Jeep could make this trip. Any four-wheel drive, slightly lifted vehicle would be fine. If you're coming up in a much bigger vehicle, expect to get really scratched up. The trail gets really skinny in places. And there are a couple places where you might find yourself getting confuddled by the some of the washes. And it's something to keep in mind if you decide to bring a bigger vehicle up here. What are your thoughts, Corrine?
I'm glad we finished it. There were a couple of nice little aspen groves, but the leaves were gone. But I wasn't very fond of all the scrub oak.
No,
it looks kind of gnarly.
The scrub oak is actually, I've renamed it scratch oak because it will scratch you up coming on this trail, and you should expect that.
Closer to Moab, there was more pine trees, and I enjoyed that part more than the latter part. But I think now from this point up, it gets back into pine trees again.
Yes, I think that's absolutely true. So anyway, that's good, and we're pretty happy about that. Well, we've got a great camp spot. After we got finished the Rimrocker Trail, or finished the loop, we came back up the trail to a camp spot, and it's a rather large camp spot with a pretty mountain view in the behind us there. And we're all set up with our fire can, our little fan, and our little reflector, because it's already getting cool out here. So folks, we sure hope you enjoyed this video today, and if you did, please give us a thumbs up.
And if you'd like to see more of our videos, we hope you'll consider hitting that subscribe button down below, and you can hit the notification bell so that you know when new videos are published.
And as always, if you have any questions about this trail or other things that we're doing, please don't hesitate to leave them in the comments section down below. And even if you just want to say hello, we're glad to hear from you, and we answer all of them. And until next time, bye for now.
Bye for now.